Security concerns force the cancellation of PlanetShakers concert. O'Neill reaffirms commitment for Highlands Highway rehabilitation. And Floyd Mayweather takes out McGregor in 10th round.
This is National MTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Sunday's news. Security concerns and petty crimes have forced the Australian gospel band PlanetShakers to cancel their final performance in Port Moresby tonight. These security concerns involved the assault of police personnel, a damaged police vehicle and public harassment, especially for women and girls. The group performed at the Sir John Guy's Stadium on Friday night as well as last night. This is believed to be the first time for a gospel concert in PNG to be cancelled because of security reasons.
The final performance tonight was supposed to have concluded the PlanetShakers 2017 Believe campaign in Papua New Guinea. However, because of disorderly public behavior, it was cancelled. This footage, taken around 7 p.m. last night, shows how Port Moresby residents tried to push their way into the main arena. A police vehicle also had its windscreen smashed during the commotion outside the gates of the stadium. But despite the cancellation, PlanetShakers released a statement on their Believe campaign Facebook page saying the Believe campaign has had an incredible 2 weeks of activities with very successful programs in schools, prisons and hospitals, and rallies across PNG. It further stated that despite the incidences of petty crimes, it will not take away the countless positive impact it had on the people. The gospel group is based in Brisbane and will be travelling back to Australia next week. Thekla Gunga, National MTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill met with the Asian Development Bank President Takehiko Nakao this week. The ADB has been a major partner with the previous O'Neill-Dion government with loans for major infrastructure projects. The ADB will be further giving a $1 billion kina loan to upgrade the Highlands Highway. The Prime Minister, during the recent PNG Business Council breakfast meeting, spoke on the upgrade of the Highlands Highway.
This is the second time Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and Asian Development Bank President Takehiko Nakao have met. Mr. Nakao congratulated the Prime Minister on his re-election and commended PNG for its economic and social development. Mr. Nakao said ADB will continue to work with the government to support economic growth, rural development and improve access to social services. In June 2017, ADB approved the first tranche of $300 million, with Australia co-financing of $11.5 million of a $1 billion multi-tranche financing facility to rehabilitate and upgrade the Highlands Highway.
Secured a funding from ADB. ADB has never funded the main Highlands Highway before. This is the first time that they are funded. They have funded the Highlands feeder roads, which is linking the Highlands Highway into the districts, various districts along the road.
The Prime Minister, speaking at the PNG Business Council breakfast meeting, reiterated the commitment from all parties to improve the Highlands Highway.
We will be tackling the first section of the most difficult part, which is between Karawagi and Asaro. Where we are going to rebuild the entire highway to making sure that it meets all the international standards, to get some changes into the tendering process and the procurement process. We will, rather than putting public servants on those boards, we will try and bring NGOs and the business community more involved in the procurement process so that there's more visibility and especially around the costings that people are always concerned about.
Since PNG joined ADB in 1971, ADB has approved loans and grants totaling to $2.6 billion, of which $1 billion is concessional loan, $15 million are grants, and $74 million for non-sovereign projects. ADB's supports to PNG is guided by its country partnership strategy 2016 to 2020 and aligned with the government's development strategic plan for 2010 to 2030. Adelaide Xerox Kari, National MTV News.
West Pacific Governor Tony Wowo has urged leaders of the province to put aside political differences and work together for the people. Governor Wowo also called on public servants in the province to be one and continue the good work so services reach the people at all levels of government. Mr. Wowo said West Pacific still lacks basic services in most areas and leaders must work together to serve their people. All elected MPs of the province will be sworn into office tomorrow at the Sundown Provincial Assembly. The 3 MPs for Northern Province are planning big things for the province. In a recent media conference in Popondetta, the 2 open MPs, together with Governor Gary Juffa, announced their plans. However, they say in order to move the province forward, they must work together.
After being sworn into the Provincial Assembly last week, the 3 MPs announced their plans for the province. Governor Gary Juffa said cleaning up Popondetta town will be one of his administration's main agenda.
In fact, we've already started talking about what we need to do, and cleaning up the town is one of our main agendas. As I've said, I'm very confident. I've got 2 good members here who will be working with me, and we're going to be chipping in from whatever funds, development funds we have to be able to put in place a system that will ensure that we have a good town cleaning system, a good sewage system, a good water supply, municipal dump, municipal cemetery, all these things that a proper town needs.
Ijivitari MP Richard Masere, on the other hand, said a proper 5-year development plan will be made and incorporated with provincial plans to better develop his district.
For us moving forward, myself and Honourable Henry Amuli from Sohe, we've had some brief discussions with the governor. He wants us to work together. We're going to show him our 5-year development plan so he can integrate it into the provincial plan. And I believe if we have a plan, then you will have an outcome, because you already know where you're starting, you know where you're finishing, you know how much it will cost, you know what materials you require.
Other plans include tourism, which Masere believes will be the future of his district.
I want our tourists that come to walk our Kokoda tracks, and that come and fly across to our Tufi Dive Resort, We want them to come to Popondetta as well, and we want them to feel like, this is a nice place to visit. It's not only about walking the track, and it's not only about diving the reefs in Tufi, but just coming to the town and just enjoying the climate here. We have one of the best cultures in the world.
Meanwhile, the newly elected Sohe MP says working close with his counterparts is the way forward for Oro Province. Stanley Ove Jr., National MTV News.
Following the murder of a young man in Popondetta a week ago, Ijivitari MP Richard Masere says one of his first actions as the new MP is to lower the consumption of homebrew in his district. Masere says he will work to regulate the prices of homebrew ingredients selling in shops and implement a policy to engage youth in positive activities. Governor Gary Juffa shared similar views, saying homebrew consumption is a growing concern in Oro.
The first step forward is to control the sale of yeast in shops. That's number 1 priority. The second priority is to invest back into young people. And one of our plans within these 5 years is that we are going to look at avenues to sponsor young people to go back to technical schools, go back to institutes, colleges. And I think when we do this, young people feel accepted into the community. They feel that there are leaders that are concerned about their well-being. So these are simple steps to resolving the issues we have here. Once we start engaging with young people and getting them a positive outlook at life, we should see positive feedback from young people.
There's got to be some awareness done so that they understand the dangers of consuming this home brew. It's a very, very dangerous trend in the country. And a lot of young people are actually dying from it because it's not regulated. And the alcohol content is so high, it goes up as high as 90%. And there are many instances where a lot of young fathers, especially fathers, because it's mainly young men who are consuming this, they're dying at a very young age, leaving families and widows.
You're with National MTV News. Don't go away. We have more after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National MTV News. Election runner-up for the Mosby South electorate, Samson Kiriloy, will petition winner MP Justin Chichenko. Mr. Kiriloy says there are flaws in Mr. Chichenko's victory and they will be dealt with in the Court of Disputed Returns. One of the arguments is the appointment of returning officer Michael Are, who is a serving military officer. Mr. Kiriloy has lodged the petition documents in the court. The case will be heard on September the 13th at the Waigani National Court.
There are a lot of questions to the manner in which the election was conducted by Electoral Commission. I'm very confident with the amount of information that I have, and when presented before the Court of Justice by way of the petition will be more than enough to have Justin Chichenko election as member for Mosby South nullified.
3 criminals are on the run in Manus after escaping from police custody at Lorengau Police Station and the General Hospital. Ken Lomai, one of the escapees who was charged for willful murder, escaped last night when duty policemen were delivering food to their cells. The other 2 escapees are 28-year-old Carol Milton and Pokowil Potilo, also 28. All 3 are from Manus Province. Manus Police Commander Senior Inspector David Yapu expressed his disappointment over the actions of the cell guard to deliver meals at night. Yapu has suspended the chief supervisor for 21 days to allow for normal investigations to take place. Residents in Lorengau have been asked to provide information to assist police recapture the 3 men. A local climate change activist is calling on government authorities to act fast and look into ways of addressing climate change along coastline villages. This comes as a local community in Rigo District, Central Province, is experiencing major erosion with the rise of sea levels and parts of the graveyard now submerged underwater.
This alarming amateur footage depicts the serious effects of climate change affecting the coastline of Rigo District in the Central Province. A rise in sea level has become a real challenge as part of a graveyard in the Alukini community has already been submerged underwater. This is a concern for the community, who is now faced with the challenge of trying to barricade a seawall for the graveyard. The site also poses a health threat for the community, with seawater contaminated with human corpses and skeletons being dug out by pigs. Climate change activist Latin Drihin says there is a chance of slowing down the process by planting mangroves. However, an engineered seawall is needed to withstand the ecological force. Sadly, this is an issue that many coastline villages in the country are facing with the rise in sea levels. Merlin Diaukatam, National MTV News.
Meanwhile, the European Union, together with the German government, have been assisting Rigo District with climate change adaptation and improved access to sustainable energy. The program is running in 3 rural communities to improve their vulnerability against the effects of climate change. They have designed projects specifically for each of the communities. The program will see improved access to water, rainwater harvesting, increased health services and additional treatment through the delivery of renewable energy power supply systems at the community health centers. It's a week now since fire raged through Hanubada village, destroying 15 homes. 2 days later, another 3 homes were also destroyed by fire. Fire stations at Waigani, Boroko and downtown attended to the raging flames. However, they were also attacked. Waigani Fire Service Station Commander Superintendent Ari Farapo told MTV News that 2 firemen were assaulted and fire trucks vandalized in the initial stages of attempting to prevent the fire from spreading.
2 fire service officers were assaulted, equipment damaged and stolen. These items include 10 meters of a real hose, a stand pump used to access the fire hydrants, and fire extinguishers while attending to the first Hanubada fire.
Well, first response when they arrived after they found out that the water had run out, they were harassed and some of them were being punched. And one of our officers were dragged out and the ladies nearby dragged him into a taxi and sent him back to the fire station in the town. There were 3 officers left there, and just in time the Boroko guys arrived and assisted them. That was what happened during that course. But while we were combating the fire, we had our hoses being dragged out of the vehicle, and some of our guys, some of the villagers climbed onto the vehicle and pulling out equipments and trying all sorts of ways, tried to put out that fire.
At one point, villagers, out of frustration that the fire was spreading, got into the fire truck while the water pumps were on and tried to move the truck. This could have caused severe damages to the fire truck, something Waigani Fire Station Commander hopes to avoid in the future.
We would advise our people to understand that if they could assist us in fires like that, in terms of helping us to identify hydrants and assisting in areas that they could. But we have a role to play to contain fires and cut out people who are trapped in the buildings or in the trucks. Yeah, that is our role basically. And with general public and coming harassing us, I don't understand that.
Superintendent Farpo said he understood that it was an anxious time for homeowners, but asked the public to always allow the fire service to use the equipment to put out the fire.
We understand that they have no knowledge about those equipments and the skills to use them at the fire. But we also appreciate their support in helping us to pull hoses here and there so that we can contain the fire.
Farpo said the fire service has always been under public scrutiny when it comes to fire emergencies, but most equipments and the trucks can only be repaired overseas and cost the fire department in the thousands. Adelaide Xerox Curry, National MTV News.
The PNG Defence Force military band is preparing preparations to receive musical instruments from the Japanese embassy. Japanese ambassador to PNG, Satoshi Nakajima, is expected to present the instruments to PNGDF commander Gilbert Toropo tomorrow. The handover of the instruments is said to be a milestone achievement between the PNGDF and the Japanese embassy. This will take place at the Goldie River Training Depot. Apart from the Defence Force, the Japanese embassy has also presented musical instruments to the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary Police Band. The PNG and Colour Fashion Runway Extravaganza in Lae came alive with PNG designer wear last night. The unique PNG designs have been gaining international attention. However, local designers still need to be supported, according to PNG and Colour's Sarah Harter-Todd. The event was well attended as people came to support the local fashion industry as well as the Angao Children's Ward through this event. Guests were treated to a night of unforgettable entertainment.
Lae City is set to host the PNG and Colour Fashion Show tomorrow. Designer Sarah Harter-Todd said it is a platform to showcase the work of various PNG designers.
We decided as designers to create our own platform, call it the PNG and Colour Runway Fashion Extravaganza, where we can encompass this one platform to include other creative aspects as well.
Funds raised will go towards supporting the local fashion industry
and raise our monies towards helping us further our course in our designing.
The show is also being staged to assist the Angao Children's Ward.
A percentage of our proceeds will be going towards the kids at Angao.
Anna Amos from AA's Tribal Design is honoured to be part of the team.
Provides a platform for us designers to come out and bring out our ideas and then express it on the runway. And I am very honored because it's a positive thing for us designers as well as the young people.
Papua New Guinean designers have been getting international attention with their unique designs. Apart from the runway modelling tomorrow, there will also be other forms of entertainment. Residents in Lae are being urged to support the local PNG designers and the Angao Children's Hospital tomorrow through this avenue. Lucy Kopana, National MTV News, Lae.
This morning, the Koki Fish Market was a bustle of activity when our MTV News crew spoke with a fish vendor. Ara Raka, a former public servant who left her job 14 years ago, said she would bank over 1,000 kina from her week's takings. She says prices vary according to the winds at sea and demand and supply at the market.
It was a wide selection of seafood for any Sunday shopper. It's the Koki Fish Market.
We fishermen go out fishing.
The boats and salty breeze at one end, fish and flakes on the other. Meet Araraka from Keapara, Hood Lagoon in the Central Province. She sells fish. Trout, red emperor are some from an assortment.
I started with NCDC in 1995 and I left job at 2002. And by 2003 I took up this, but not regularly, but then so I realized that fish was bringing good income. I totally got track with this and I never went back again to get a job.
Mrs. Raka says prices are done according to fishing seasons, supply, and the size of the fish.
When I come here at the market, if the wind's so strong, the weather, then the fish prices go high. But there's so many competition around it, and I drop the fish price.
The rebuilding of the Koki Fish Market was done under the service of Moresby South Member of Parliament, Justin Tuchenko. The facility boasts a jetty, refrigeration, affordable fees, and 24-hour security.
I want to encourage you all, resident of Port Moresby City, feel free to also come here and walk him, finding fish lawyer because doctors advise to him fish and big something and good protein low, body blame, health blame, as you say. So we encourage you all Port Moresby City, come down, feel free to come down. Car park and everything will be looked after and security will be planned, stop 24 hours, so all good.
Harry Gimbari, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. We go for a break now, and when we come back, stories making headlines overseas. Welcome back to National MTV News. Turning overseas now, there is widespread devastation in Texas after the powerful Hurricane Harvey plowed through coastal areas overnight. It's now being downgraded to a tropical storm, but authorities are warning the worst is yet to come, with heavy rainfall threatening deadly flooding. At least 2 deaths have been reported, and there are fears the death toll will rise.
Hurricane Harvey hammering southern Texas and cutting a deadly path of destruction overnight. The strongest hurricane to hit the United States in over a decade, pummeling the coastline. Its howling winds reaching speeds of 209 kilometres an hour and storm surges 2 metres high.
Oh my God!
The hurricane destroying building after building, ripping roofs off homes and shattering windows. Storm chasers out filming overnight were stunned as debris from a nearby business was tossed down in front of them. Power lines snapped and transformers exploding under the storm's pressure, leaving hundreds of thousands without power and fires engulfing homes. At first light, the scale of the storm's destruction is clear. In the seaside town of Rockport, homes, businesses and roads are completely obliterated. Other areas fully submerged. Down the coast in Corpus Christi, these men who live on their boats are lucky to be alive.
No brains.
But for those who live on land, the force of Harvey was no less frightening.
Oh, I sit there in my shaking bed waiting for my roof to come off. 10:30 or so, it all quiet down and I walked out and there's a tree in my yard and then Becky's house is completely gone.
Dan, are you in here?
This man searching through the storm's wreckage this morning, desperate to know if his neighbour is dead or alive. While Harvey's winds have weakened, its relentless rain hasn't. Authorities warning the damage from this disaster is far from done.
This is going to be life-threatening and catastrophic.
The storm now slowly inching inland, unloading lethal amounts of rain.
Our primary concern remains dramatic flooding. The state and various agencies remain very active in the search and rescue process.
Already 18 people have been rescued from the surging waters.
Turn around, don't drown. don't risk your life.
And the focus now is firmly on survival as the millions in the storm zone prepare for Harvey's second hit.
Spain's king has led hundreds of thousands of demonstrators through the streets of Barcelona in a show of defiance against militant Islamic extremists. 15 people died in attacks in the last week.
Was Barcelona's response to terror on its streets. Tonight, 500,000. Their message, written here, I am not afraid.
We are going to continue to be a city of peace and open to the rest of the world.
It doesn't really matter where they come from, what their faith is, and that we united we stand.
Up the front, those who rescued and protected people on that night. Standing tall in the middle, Spain's king. A main avenue in the city centre was for hours like Las Ramblas, cars replaced by a never-ending crowd. A separate protest today in the small town where all of the known terrorists grew up. Speaking in Catalan, one of their sisters gave this emotional address. We must work together so this never happens again. At the Barcelona march, plenty of pro-independence Catalan flags. The politics here is very divided, but today was about being united.
New Zealand's status as the world's premier rugby nation is undisputed again after the Black Ferns won the Women's Rugby World Cup for the 5th time. This means that once again, New Zealand are the holders of the Men's Women's World Cup as well as the World Junior Cup.
Women's Rugby World Cup 2017 champions, New Zealand!
The Black Ferns' first World Cup in 7 years, their 5th title from the 8 tournaments played since it began back in 1991. And a storybook ending for their long-serving captain.
I couldn't ask for any better way to finish my rugby career in the black jersey was to take that cup home.
The come-from-behind 41-32 win over arch-rivals England and Belfast happening on an emotional day for the skipper.
This day back in New Zealand, my dad passed away, so 16 years anniversary today, and to take that cup home for him because he's my biggest fan means everything.
This triumph also payback of sorts for 4 players, Sarah Goss, Kelly Brazier, Teresa Fitzpatrick and Portia Woodman, who lost the gold medal sevens match at the Rio Olympics in August of last year. And even though Woodman didn't score today, she completed a remarkable double, top try scorer at both the Olympics and the World Cup. The star today, Toka from Tokoroa. The mobile prop Toka Natua with 3 tries. This win impressing another World Cup winning coach.
Really proud of them and thought they did New Zealand Rugby a great service and have had a great day, so I hope they really enjoy what they've achieved.
By the looks of early celebrations, there was no chance of that not happening.
And that match between the Black Ferns and England later on in Trukai Sports. We'll also have for you the fight between Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. That is up next in Trukai Sports after these short messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The SPPNG Hunters lost to Tweed Head Seagulls 26 points to 18 in a hard-fought battle this afternoon. The Tweeds were the first to post points through Samuel Meskel and further their lead minutes later through Nicholas Harold and Jaden Baker. The Hunters fought back with tries from Captain Ase Bos and Stargoth Amian, trailing 18-12 at half-time. In the second half, the Tweeds extended their lead to 24 and added the extra 2 from a penalty to bring their score up to 26. Hunters hooker Wartovo Puara scored late in the match, but it wasn't enough to secure the Hunters a much-needed win. Back home and to golf, Heli Solutions were crowned 2017 Daffodil Cup champions in the annual Oil Search Port Moresby Daffodil Corporate Golf Challenge. 29 teams registered in this year's tournament, with Oil Search Team 2 finishing in 2nd place and Lalako FM finishing 3rd. With the tremendous support from the business community, almost 120,000 kina was raised on the night to support the work of the Cancer Foundation of Papua New Guinea. According to Dadi Toka Jr., CEO of the Cancer Foundation, funds from the 2017 Oil Search Daffodil Corporate Golf Challenge will go towards bringing cancer education and awareness programs to various communities and schools throughout the country next year. We'll have more of Trukai Sports after these messages. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Black Ferns are on top of the world again. New Zealand beating arch rivals England 41-32 in the Women's World Cup final in Belfast. Here are the highlights.
Tastes so sweet for the record-breaking Black Ferns.
World champions for 2017, New Zealand!
A fifth Women's Rugby World Cup title, 3 years after being beaten by England in France.
That was definitely on our mind from 2014, but new team in 2017, I'm so proud of the girls.
This morning's win over the Red Roses, courtesy of one of the most dominant second halves they've produced. Having barely touched the ball in the first half and trailing 17-10 at the break, the Black Ferns turned the match on its head, recording 83% territory and 77% possession from the resumption, at one stage leading the second half 31 points to 8.
Surely that's the game for New Zealand.
We fought our way back. We needed to score just before half-time. We managed to do that, and you know, we were very clear at half-time what needed to happen and from what we were seeing, and I thought the players executed it really well.
Pre-game, a New Zealand win was predicted through their blockbusting backs, but it was prop Toka Natua who proved the try-scoring menace they needed. That hat-trick setting up the win for the Black Ferns, a team consisting of largely amateurs and just 6 players on sevens contracts.
It just delights the fire in our belly even more that we're not professional athletes. But in time, I'm hoping that these girls will definitely put it out there that, you know, we need the support.
To make things even sweeter for the Black Ferns, it's a fitting send-off for their captain, Fia'au Fa'amasili, whose 52 caps have spanned an incredible 15 years.
The management and the girls mean everything to me, and so I made sure that I had to, you know, the last years of my rugby was going to be on a high, and I'm just extremely proud and happy.
The end of an era for their skipper, but a glorious view at the top of women's rugby for the Black Ferns.
Still in rugby, the All Blacks defeated the Wallabies in the Bledisloe Test, winning 39-25.
Today from Dunedin, still coming back down to earth after a match that was almost on another planet. With so many twists and turns, where do we start? How about the match-winning try? And the All Blacks' composure wins again, led from the restart take by the captain just 30 seconds earlier.
Said to the kicker, put it on the money and I'll chase it and try and win it back, and yeah, that's what happened, and it was just a case of us playing.
Playing almost didn't happen. Kick-off was delayed after a lights malfunction in the stadium, then the All Blacks' hands malfunctioned, followed by a number of other individual hiccups.
And away goes Gideon. Hooper's got speed. He gets it away to Foley.
It's like, you know, a young fella having his first day at school, he's all over the place and you really don't know what's going on.
17-0 could have been a lot worse, but for Bernard Foley's 3 misses off the goalposts. All Blacks flanker Sam Cane was lost to concussion as head knocks became a theme of the evening. Despite those setbacks, scrum dominance helped the home team claw their way back. Second half tries awarded, then overall added to the drama as All Black set-piece attacks worked again. In a frenetic 15-minute period, the lead changed 5 times through 2 tries each. A massive upset looked secure until that piece of captaincy magic, Lima Sopoanga's pinpoint kick, and the confidence to use the ball.
Nothing special has to happen, it's just doing what we train, just being in the moment and, you know, just trusting that.
The Bledisloe Cup is locked away for the 15th straight year. What an extraordinary way to do it. More silverware is returning to HQ in what's been a riveting 24 hours for rugby.
And that's it in Trukai Sports. We'll have further weather details after these messages. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
A look at the weather for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Fine, becoming cloudy for Port Moresby, Daru, Alotau and Popondetta. Some rain and drizzles expected in Kerama. To the Momasa region, some showers in Lae and Wau with a top of 31 degrees. 31 degrees as well for Wevek and Vanimo. Fine, becoming cloudy. Partly cloudy in Madang, a top of 31 as well. To the New Guinea Islands region, thundery showers expected in Lorengau. Fine, becoming cloudy for Kavieng, partly cloudy for Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe. A shower or two expected in Buka, top of 31. And in the Highlands region, a few showers in Mount Hagen. Evening showers expected in Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg. The temperatures there in the early 20s. So look at the shipping forecast, but first there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, including Finchafen to Vitia Strait, CSE Island to Long Island and West New Britain. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru, and the waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 2 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Kiwai Island to Kerama, Yule Island, Hood Point to Samarai Island, waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, waters of Samarai Island to Cape Vogel, Finchafen, and waters of East New Britain to New Island and Bougainville, seas 1.5 to 2 meters. Waters of Finchafen through Vitia Strait, Dampier Strait, including CSE Island to Long Island, and waters of West New Britain, seas 2.5 to 3 meters. Waters of Long Island to Madang, Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo, and the northern PNG Indonesian border, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. And now look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas for tonight and tomorrow. Coral Sea sees moderate to rather rough with southeasterly winds at 20 to 25 knots with gusts. Solomon Sea sees moderate with southeasterly winds at 15 to 20 knots with gusts reaching 25 knots at times. Bismarck Sea sees rough with southeasterly winds at 25 to 34 knots. And the Pacific Ocean sees slight east to southeasterly winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that is the news, sports and weather for today, Sunday, the 27th of August 2017. On behalf of the MTV News team, have a pleasant working week. Good night.